Okay, thanks for the notification. I hope this is an insightful one, inshallah. So, as we all know, gathering whereby Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala is not involved is almost futile or it's totally not valid. So, we start by a proper opening prayer or recitation, and I'll randomly be calling on anybody. So, if I point on to you, point out to you, call your name, if you don't respond, you're going to pay a fine. If it takes seconds to respond, you're going to pay a fine. So this now we're calling on Brother Abdul Basit to give us an opening prayer or recitation. Bismillah.
Okay, do you mean a opening prayer or recitation?
Yeah, anyone is fine.
Okay, I'll go for the recitation.
All right, mashallah. Thank you.
Yeah, أعوذ بالله من الشيطان الرجيم بسم الله الرحمن الرحيم إذا زلزلت الأرض زلزالها وأخرجت الأرض أثقالها وقال الإنسان ما لها يومئذ تحدث أخبارها بأن ربك أوهى يومئذ يصدر الناس أشتاتا ليروا أعمالهم ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة خيرا يره ومن يعمل مثقال ذرة شرا يره. Yeah, that's it.
All right, Jazakumullah khair. I didn't know I was muted. Thank you so much for that beautiful recitation.
Welcome.
May Allah actually bless you immensely, and yes, increase you in ilm and taqwa. I mean, Jazakumullah khair for that. So yes, I actually before we got to this stage, I was asking if we had like if we're actually into product already, how we got our first entry rule and all. So inshallah, I am your host, and my name is Rufai Habiba Mujisola. I'm pleased to actually host this event, and we have a very noble guest in person of Mr. Alabi Jafar to be our host for today's event, inshallah. So definitely our theme for today is the strategies in securing an entry-level product role in product management. You probably been wondering like, well, you have a friend and my person just started probably a few months earlier and person has a role already, is already working as a product manager. How is it possible? Okay, we'll be learning all of those strategies live from our noble speaker, inshallah, today. So, should we let me just randomly ask probably two persons before we move properly into the webinar session how they got their product roles. Okay, let me call on who else, who else, who else, who else, who else? Okay. Can any product manager please indicate or let me call on Brother Rashid Ayuadi. Assalamu alaikum. Just two persons. Yeah, can you hear me?
Walaikum salam.
Now, what do you do? Are you a product manager?
No, no, I'm a software engineer.
Ah, mashallah.
I just
Mashallah,
uh,
barakallahu fi. Our Agba. Okay, anyways, it's not too bad for you to share us how you got your first role.
yeah, how
Just
I
a
got
quick
my
one,
first role.
please.
Yeah, I got my first role by I applied to several jobs. I always apply on LinkedIn and also especially WhatsApp. Anything you see on WhatsApp, like somebody forward something, email. I usually send emails and everything too. But on LinkedIn, somebody reached out to me and based on your application and I did the test interview and I got employed. Yeah, but I think when I left that role, another job I got is actually through like the WhatsApp. Somebody just said what the WhatsApp, all those job posting to the WhatsApp
Yeah.
group. So I was like, I just ignore it. I just sent an email, like my cover letter. I did it very well, the CV. After like 3 months, I said it out to me. I've even forgotten, so, and I did the test and that's how I got it. See, that's actually just how I got it. Yeah. I also do a lot of networking. So, yeah.
All right, mashallah.
Product
Jazakumullah khairan.
management.
That was really insightful. LinkedIn. Wow, that's nice. Okay, thank you. So brother Sadiq Onibudo. Assalamu alaikum. Please can you please share how you actually got your first entry role with us? Just a quick one, please. Thank you.
Assalamu alaikum warahmatullahi wabarakatuh. Can anyone hear
Wa
me?
alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Yes, perfectly well.
All right. Yeah, I believe I shared my story a couple of times, but I won't shy away from sharing it once more. It all
Yeah.
started back in my final year on campus. I I had a lot of back and forth on what I want to major on. I studied electronic and computer engineering, but because now most of the studies that we do is to pass exam, not really to know the course itself. So I was always concerned about practicing computer engineering. I didn't see it happening for me because there's a lot to it than just meets the eye. And I can see that I wasn't doing well enough academically. Though I graduated with a 2-1, but then I'm still not proud of it. It's not something I'm really, really proud of. So back then I was started thinking of what else can I do in line with my course of study and how I can make the best for myself in the future. So I started a bit of software engineering. At some point, it didn't work out well. I started some data analysis. That didn't work out as well. I eventually found myself in Scrum methodologies, and I enjoyed it so much that then from there it's moved on to product. Now I practice as a product owner, product manager now. So it all started back in my final year. I got my first internship the same month I started my 500 level, and the rest is history now.
How did you get the internship? Referral, recommendation, or how?
I was just bombing every application. I at that time I started studying product management maybe like a month or two before my internship. I kind of like understood because I took this Scrum course and
Okay.
I already understand what it takes to manage a software project, right? So I already understood that. So when I started studying product management, it wasn't far from it. There was a lot of intersections. They are not entirely the same thing, but there are a lot of intersections. So I settled in perfectly. So with that, I didn't wait for any go ahead before I started applying. I just started applying every job, every internship opportunity that I find on LinkedIn, on Twitter, everywhere. As a matter of fact, when I was called for an interview, I didn't know which of my application I was called for. I didn't know which one.
Wow.
I didn't know until I joined the meeting call and the CEO was just asking me, "You applied for an internship role, right?" I said yes. Product management internship. I said yes. So what's your background? And I started explaining everything I knew. And I don't know, I can't
And that was
regret. Yeah, so everything just happened and I got the job the following day. And well,
mashallah.
I'm
Jazakumullah
here today.
khairan.
My answer for that.
It's so pleasing to actually have product manager share his experience and how he got his entry role.
Yeah.
So now we actually move properly into the webinar session. So inshallah, we'll be having our guest speaker, our facilitator, to share with us his strategies. And yes, who is our speaker for today? We have Jafar Alabi is a product manager. Okay, product manager with 5 years, above 5 years experience working with technical and non-technical teams to design and deliver on digital products and initiatives across industries. His experience cuts across a wide range of verticals, including operations, products, and product project management, startup advisory, and business development. Jafar leads Andela's community of talented product managers as community champion. As a seasoned product strategist, he has led multiple product teams, successfully driving product and business strategy and growing user community engagement. He consults or consulted for several organizations across Nigeria. Let me add that. Offering business development, startup advisory, and product management support to help them launch and scale. And in addition, he holds a bachelor's degree in electrical engineering in Lautech and also a postgraduate diploma in project management. Is currently the team lead at the Intellect Niger. Oh, okay, yes, he actually worked being the co-founder, or is currently the co-founder and operations team lead at Intellect Niger and presently a product manager at DJ Impact. MashaAllah. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I pass the invisible mic to our facilitator. Please, you have the ground. Assalamu alaikum, sir.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Thank you for having me. It's a pleasure to be here. So
Welcome, sir.
I would try as much as possible to do justice, because when I saw the synopsis of what we want to discuss and the time we have is actually a lot of things to discuss. So, but the goal would be to share as much insight as possible, which will not help us to probably, do some other things, add more knowledge elsewhere in our search and our journey to become product managers. And yes, product managers are God's own people. I don't know if there's anybody on the call that wants to disagree with me, but we're God's own people because we help everybody, and God loves who help others. So that's an lighter mood, anyways. Let me share my screen, so I'll quickly do a run through what I have here, and then we can take it from there. Let me know when you can see my screen. Can you see my screen now?
Not yet, sir.
Oh, what about now?
Yes, we can.
Beautiful. Okay, so yeah, strategies for securing entry level product management roles. I'm Jafar and yeah, I guess I've been introduced. So let's get into what product management is. So, product management as a discipline is concerned with the whole process of launching a product. And this is as layman as possible. When I say it's concerned with the entirety of the process, I'm going to show you what the software development life cycle looks like for people who are entirely new into this field. A product manager sort of manages up through the process from when you're trying to discover or product discovery, you're trying to discover what should we even build, right? For which customers are we trying to build, and what would be the best solution to address whatever needs they have. So, to the point of now designing those UIs, user interfaces, to actually integrate, implementing that, integrating APIs, and launching your product, setting pricing, everything that has to do with that product that you love, being in the market, you being able to experience it well, you being able to pay for it seamlessly and enjoy what you paid for, and give feedback, whether positive or negative, about the application or whatever service it is at the end, is something that a product manager sort of manages. Now, there are certain things. Look at the Venn diagram that I put here. We all remember set theory, right? So, and set theory, like when you talk about union of sets, that time it means you're talking about a space in the middle. That's what product manager is, a space in the middle where it sort of touches on different aspects. So we're talking about user experience, we're talking about business in the sense that whoever is building digital product is not building it for charity. Yeah, that charitable products. But then at the end of this, however nice the UI is, however beautiful the experience is, you still want to make money with it. It still needs to make sense for the business as much as you want your users to have a very good experience. At the same time, the technical part of it is something to also be concerned about, because that is the vehicle through which you deliver whatever solution you are delivering to your target audience. So it means the technicality of, okay, we're building with this technology, we want to use this platform, we need to use a Chrome extension, we want to have a mobile application. The nitty-gritty of how do we package this, the technical considerations you need to make, is also something that a product manager needs to be. So you're sort of in the middle of all of these things, and you want to be able to clearly make decisions considering all of these parts, such that your product can be a success. Now let me quickly go through what the product management life cycle looks like. So as you can see there, it starts from planning, and it's a continuous process, mind you. For people, for those of us who are technical enough, who know something about DevOps, there's something we call CI/CD, continuous integration, continuous deployment. And for us product managers or people who are agile, fans of the agile methodology, we talk about relentless reinvention. It means that you continue. It's a continuous wheel of progress. You're not trying to build something that, yes, we have built the optimal app, and this is the best app in the world, and you're sitting down, because whether you like it or not, your competitors are going to come out and they're going to beat you out of the market. The reason why Microsoft Office, for example, to give a quick context, remains relevant till today is because they have been able to continuously reinvent, right? Relentlessly reinvent. It means that before you even, I mean, yeah, there are lots of other word processing solutions, but then before you even remember installing something else on your Windows laptop, before you know it, it was 2003. Before you hear anything else, it was 2007. New upgrades, new features, nicer UIs. Before you know it, you said 2010, 2013, 20. I mean, you just, so you don't even have time to explore other products because you're even till now, as old as you are, having used Microsoft for several years, you're yet to explore all of the features there. That is relentless reinvention. So it has to continue. For you as a product manager, that has to be a mindset. It's something that has to follow you through whatever you're doing. So you want to start with planning and, sort of analyzing why should we be. So this planning and analytics phase is what you want to do. You can simply call it product discovery. In some SDLC diagrams, you can simply see product discovery. And product discovery is about trying to identify what exactly are we trying to build. So is this space you want to go through user experience research? You want to call it market research, competitor research. What are our competitors doing currently? What is the market saying currently? You want to talk to users at this point. You have user interviews, chat with your users, and understand what their pain point is, what they're trying to build, right? I mean, what they're trying to solve for, so that you know what you want to build for them. So you there's also one tricky part here, which I'm going to touch on later when we're talking about the skills. It is that as a product manager, you're not necessarily building what the customer says they want. Let me give you a quick example. If you're working with an agency startup, it means an agency is an organization that develops solutions for other people as opposed to developing their own products. So now usually your customer is going to come to you and tell you that, yes, I need a logistics app that can do blah blah blah, do Uber, be like Bolt, and be like lag ride at the same time. I want all of, and I mean, you just continue. If you, the mistake, one of the biggest mistakes you can make as a product manager is just to start. Yes, they said they want this and that, and you start building. So beyond listening to what your customers want, you want to get what exactly do they need, right? So you want to go beyond listening to what they say they want to actually understanding why they want it. If you understand why they want that, it will help you to be able to decide maybe it is not that thing they want that they actually need. I don't know. I mean, am I um, explaining things correctly? Do you understand what I'm trying to drive at? Anybody? Okay. Am I still
Yeah.
in?
Yes, yeah, we
Yes,
you,
sir.
Oh,
sir. Yeah,
yeah.
yeah, 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 sure.
Good. I wanted to be sure that I was just speaking to myself. Okay, so like you want to go beyond just listening to, yeah, we want this, to understand why do you want this. Okay, I want the latest pair of shoes from Adidas. But why do I want it? Right? Because when you understand why I want it, it will take you beyond just going to the store and buying another Adidas shoe for me. And after some time, I will put it on and say, "Oh, I don't want this. I need another shoe." But if you understand why exactly, okay, because I want to go on trips where, I mean, it's a sandy environment, maybe it's a beach kind of stuff, and when I go to those places, I need something that, then you know that what you'll be able to understand what solution I really need. That's just an example to put things to better context. But that's what we do as product managers in the product discovery phase, trying to understand. So now it depends on what product you're working on. It could be a new product. My apologies if I'm too fast. You can call me back. I'm trying to cover as much as possible within a limited time. So to go ahead, depending on what product you're working on, depending on what company you're working on, it could be a product that you're building from the scratch to launch, or it could be that you are developing a new feature to an existing product, or it could be that you are improving on something that already exists. So how you run your product discovery phase might differ a little depending on which of these spaces you're working in. So if you're working in a space where you already have an existing product discovery becomes easier because you already have some users using your product that you can talk to directly to understand their experiences, understand whether you've solved their pain points or they still have some issues with using your product, understand if they have a good user experience, right? I give a very good example that we know that before, when you want to sign up on a lot of websites, a lot of apps, you have to fill all the details. My name is Jafar Abi. I was born in location, blah blah blah, all the things they want. But now we see that you simply do login with Google or login with Facebook. That's a very typical example of how improvement to user experience can be. Nobody wants to sit down filling long forms anymore. So you just simply want to just, I have these details somewhere else, just like people are talking about CBN's KYC issue and saying that we already have BVN and NIN. If I have all of these details in this government places, why should I have to enter it again? So signing with Google, signing with Facebook, signing with this and that is a way for product people to get the information you want about the customer by integrating Google or Facebook or whichever you're using, and at the same time make it easy for the customer to not have to enter all of these details. This comes from listening in, understanding how they're experiencing the product, and there are a lot of tools that people use now. There are tools like a mixed panel that helps you with object data management, event data management, and you can do funnels that helps you visualize how your users are experiencing your product, and you're able to make better decisions to what should we do again, how should we improve this, should we change the color of this, should we move this button there. Now this is user experience. This is something we share with user experience designers, and that leads us to the design phase, which is the third thing here. So because when you understand, you now want to design how the experience would look like before you go into actual development. And this is so because development is actually costly and time consuming. You don't want to waste a lot of time developing the wrong product and then say, oh no, it's like that's not what people want, so now let's do it again. No. So you use the design is as simple as, graphics, all of those flyers you can see, right? Now, when I say as simple as that, I don't mean so that the designers will not come from my head. I don't mean it's as easy as doing the flyer that MIP did for this webinar. I mean that it is just an interface that you cannot interact with, but it gives you visualization. For example, you can see, let's assume our web page is supposed to look like what you're seeing on my screen currently, right? And these two things are supposed to be side by side, and then you're able to click one. We can see it and say that, no, move this SDLC, software development life cycle, to the right, and move this evolution to the left, or let's do this or let's do that to make things better. So, I mean, this is what design does for you. Now, I don't want to go into design, and that's a whole thing entirely. Talk about, design principles, talk about best practices, how should you present what you want. But it's good for you as a product manager to also have some sense of design, because it's going to help you, because you're going to literally work with your product designer through this phase as well. The implementation means you want to now develop it from front end to back end. I hope we can talk about technologies, but I'm not sure we're going to have enough time for that. But let me just touch quickly. So front end, back end, that's the general thing. Front end, back end. Today, it's now a lot of places you work with, it is them consuming APIs, whether it is their own APIs or third-party APIs that they use to render your product. So think of it as we building a leeway into a database, and this is what I mean. Now, to explain this as layman as possible for those of us who are completely new to this. So APIs, by the way, is application programmable interfaces, and what you're doing is that when the designer, the front end engineer, codes this page, for example, let's use this design in front of me as an example. When the front-end engineer has used whatever technology they are using to develop this, and you can see it live on the website, right? So for it to be able to perform some functionalities, like for example, you want every time you click 5, which says testing and integration, you want it to now display some things. You want it to ask for the details of your products, and then it's going to send some information. Anything that deals with interacting, sending information, making certain decisions, making certain calculations, are things that has to be done in the back end, and are things you can use APIs for. APIs also make it easy for you to do the same thing across different platforms. For example, you have your web application, you have mobile application. So if you're using an API, it means that you're going to build a central, you're building the same backend, and both your front end designer for the web and your front end person for the mobile, who's using whatever technology they're using, can simply consume the same API, and the thing will not be different. To make this put this a bit better perspective, if it is a fintech app, for example, and you have built your web, you have both web and mobile, right? Let's say is your First Bank. Apologies to First Bank fans. So, and First Bank has an internet banking this and that is not connected in any way to what happens on mobile. It means that you can go on your mobile, right? If it's stored in a different database, for example, and now make any transaction, maybe you transfer 50,000 out of your account, and your balance is supposed to be 150,000. When you go to your internet banking on the web, you will still have your 200,000 there because it's not the same database. That's an example of a problem that could happen if you're working out from different. Of course, Facebook would never do that. So that's just to, explain what I was trying to talk about to us. So it means that these things must go to the same source, right? They must feed from the same source and give back to the same source. That way, regardless of whether you're going to the web or going to the app, you're going to see the same thing any point in time. So I'm talking about implementation. It means you want to work with your engineers, the engineering team, to do certain things around developing your APIs if that's what you want to use, and developing the interfaces, like implementing the design that you have gotten after approval. And then you want to go into testing and integration. Here we talk about user acceptance testing, and there are a lot. Testing is a very broad field, very, very, very broad field, because there are lots of testing. You have performance and load testing. You have penetration testing. That's where you talk about vulnerability assessment, security testing, to ensure that your product can handle security risks. That of performance and load testing is basically around making sure that your site does not crash when you have so many people. Have you ever seen a situation where at the last day of the application of any government institution, um, whatever job or whatever, and everything, they tell you that the site is down or blah blah blah? It means that it's handling too much load than the infrastructure has been built to manage. So testing and integration could be simple functional testing, where you just want to test that, is this app working? When I click button A, am I getting the right result? When I click button B, am I getting the right result? So, and then you now integrate into your actual production environment. So for people who already have existing products and you want to ship new features, naturally you are not just going to send in the new feature you have developed into production straight up without going through testing, before you now integrate into the larger scheme of things, so that you can avoid problems. And then of course you want to continue to maintain that feature. Maintenance could be refactoring your code, improving whatever your user experience, and doing different things to make it better, or going back to, because now that you have people using your product, you want to be able to uh, sort of understand how they're using it, understand whatever issues, work with customer support to listen to whatever problems you're having there, and and see how to solve them. Then that may take you back to the planning phase again to see that, okay, maybe there's another thing to build, maybe there's something we are yet to achieve, until you achieve what we call product market fit. And that's a story for another day. Now, the product management skills have evolved into, it used to be business, consumers, technology, like what I showed you in the first slide. Now we have a lot of things that you have to take into consideration as a product manager. You have to work with almost all aspects of the business, almost all departments. You want to work with legal, you want to work with customer success, because these are the people that are listening directly to your um, um, customers, and they're able to tell you that, oh, somebody said, called and said that, oh my, I mean, if it's the typical Nigerian people calling MTN, that you guys are mad, you guys are blah blah blah. Yeah, as rash as that might be, I mean, that's something you want to listen to, because you're there for them, you're building the product for them, and you want to be sure they're getting it right. Or maybe you need to adjust something, maybe you need to improve on something, maybe you need to build something else, until you get it. So marketing, you want to start considering marketing from the start. And by the way, all of these stages that I mentioned, they're different artifacts, or if you like, call it documents, that you as a product manager would create, right, on the journey towards building your product and launching your product. You have to create different documents that you would use, and your team members would use to understand what it starts from creating the product strategy documents. If I may just run through that quickly, because I won't go back to that before the end of this slide. After this set of this slide on understanding product management, we'll go into recruitment, which is what I feel some of us are here for. So, quick one, you want to have a product strategy document that explains what you're trying to build, why this is the best way to build it, why should you be building this now, right? Understanding the customer needs, at that point, some level of market research to understand your total addressable market. Total addressable market term is saying that, okay, this solution we're building, this is the set of people that need it. How many of these people do we have in the world? What is the value of these people? Because when you want to present your product strategy document to the company, your manager, depending on what role you are in, they will not just say that, oh yeah, nice one, let's start building. I mean, it has to make sense for the business. It has to also make sense and be aligned with the company's goals. So this is one of the things. So you also want to create a product requirement documentation that's going to detail each of the features, where you're going to have your user stories that talk about how, because as product managers, we talk from the perspective of the user. You don't just come and tell us that, oh yeah, I want to build product so. Feature A is going to be flying to the moon. Feature B, you're going to get press a button, and then automatically you're going to have a very beautiful room on the moon. And then product C, our feature C, you're going to be able to eat, order for food. You understand? It's going to be delivered to you from planet Earth on the moon. And then feature D, you are going to take press another button, and you're back to your country or wherever. Well, you don't just want to say that. You want to talk from the perspective of the user, and that's why we have user stories. Say, as a user, I want to do so and so. That keeps it focused on the user. It keeps it user centric. So let me come back to where we are going. So this is sort of um top skills, which I'm going to touch on as we go. These are things that you can actually research, because we're going to talk about transferable skills. But I'm more interested in this on the side, because there are lots of roles that are very similar to product management, right? And it could get confusing. It could get so much confusing that differentiation of roles, especially in less established companies, becomes very hard to do. So, product management. Oh, this is actually not big enough. Let me apologize. Okay, we're moving into something else. Okay. Sorry, I wanted to make this into something that we can all look at together now. Cool. Much better. So now I talked about product discovery, product strategy, creating documentation, working with engineers and designers, creating roadmaps and release plans, prioritizing backlog. Prioritization is sort of managing the things to do. The reason why there are certain features of WhatsApp that you will continue to say, we want this, and they're not doing it yet. It's not because they are not listening. They're listening, but then these things have to be ordered. You have 1,000,001 things to build, and as a product manager, you have to prioritize, and that is what backlog prioritization is all about. What has the highest impact on our users at this point, right? Now, you as one user might feel like, oh, if I do not have status, if I cannot save my status on WhatsApp like GB WhatsApp users can do, if I cannot save my status, the world is going to end. I mean, what exactly are WhatsApp engineers doing? But then, I mean, on the large scale of things, considering the impact to users and considering other things like the technical requirements to make that happen versus resources. Well, if you're working in a very big company, it may not be a very big challenge to talk about resources. But for smaller startups, resources is a big thing that you have to consider. That can we afford at this current level of um, profits that we have, at this current level of revenue that we have, and we afford to commit the technical requirements, infrastructure requirements for this feature right now? Do we have to put it behind paywalls? And just like when ChatGPT came up with the paid version, like you were enjoying it and say, oh, this is nice and all of that, and said, no, for you to continue to do this, then you need to pay, because technically this will require is going to eat up some of their resources, and that means money, right? And yeah, you have to pay for that to be able to access it. Now, you as a product manager needs to consider all of these things to in prioritizing what should you build first. So when you have a list of 1,000,000 things to build, how do you now prioritize? How do you pick one after the other by making sure it aligns with your company's vision, aligns with your revenue model, aligns with different kind of things? So release plans and roadmaps, internet evangelism. As a product manager, you must be a very good politician, and when I say politician, I don't mean in the bad sense of it. I mean, you need to be able to carry people along and convince people and understand everybody's interest, because while you are going to lead the product management, the team, all right, the product team entirely, you're not necessarily, in a lot of cases, you do not have direct authority over them, right? In more established companies like Google, people can choose what they want to work on. So you sort of need to convince that engineer that, yeah, this is the good thing, because at the end of the day, everybody wants something that's going to add to their this and that. Yeah, I built this, and this is how much and this is how much of impact what I built, is having. So you need to be able to convince them, and even your managers, your CEO, you need to convince them that, yeah, this is a good product to build. This is why it's going to what I also want to measure user adoption, right? Metrics. Something we're going to talk about when we're talking about skills. You want to measure metrics, because how do you understand what is happening with your product without metrics? Metrics are the well, you want to call it numbers, but it could be beyond just numbers. But these are things, data sets, that's a better way to put it, to review what is happening on your product. Like how many people, I mean, we start talking about daily active users, and things like that. Sorry, like how many people are actually using this product is a different thing that we have 100,000 signups, 100,000 downloads on app stores. As a product manager, your journey does not end there. When you say, we don't hit them, or everybody don't download. But then, I mean, are they actually using it? Maybe it's just 1,000 out of 100,000 that's actually using the product. And when they're using the product, what are they using exactly? These are things that tools like Mixpanel would help you. So, which is why product analytics is something you also want to learn as a product manager, right? It's not like it's compulsory that roles where it is more of product ownership, and you do not necessarily have oversight functions on things like product analytics and all of that. So, but then it's always a good tool in the bag. So now, as a product marketing manager, that's another thing. There's product manager, there's product marketing manager. So this role is very similar, but it's focused more on marketing. But there's no way you're going to build a good product and measure its success without good marketing. So in less established companies, there's even no distinction between product management and product marketing management. It's just everything is just all together, right? So I mean, you just have to work on messaging. So it just depends on what company you're with, and what stage they are in the scheme of things. So now, as a product marketing manager, I mean, you want to talk about go-to-market strategy. You're also an evangelist, trying to evangelize for your products across the company. You want to work with PR and sales teams. You want to do things like positioning and messaging. You're concerned about how does your product what's the perception your product is having in the marketplace. What copies do you want to put out there? What marketing channels do you want to adopt? Or let's use Google Ads, or let's do Facebook marketing and some all of that. Or what content do you want to push out? Let's create a white paper. Let's create one pages. Let's create a landing page. Whatever strategy you want to go use to get your product into the market. So okay, so your journey to um becoming a product manager right now is what I've explained here. I mean, summarized rather. So it's three things, and then I'm going to now sort of um, break it down further as we go. So, okay, first thing, you want to build your capacity very well, which is why you want to learn about this. And the reason why I've gone through all of these things that I've mentioned is so that you're able to understand how things work in product management and what skills are required. So one of the first things you want to do is skill mapping, mapping out your skills. So, like, what skills do you have currently? This is how you understand if you have transferable skills or not. So, what skills do you have currently that is valuable? If you're working in another role, for people who are already experienced, you're just not in product management. Probably you have worked in product adjacent roles, and you can relate with certain things. You have certain skills already. So you want to map out what skills do you have. Then you want to identify the skill gaps. What skills do you now need? For example, yeah, you're good with prioritization. You can work on implementation. You are good with working with engineers. You know some technical concepts and all of that. But then you're not very good on the analytics side of things. Like when the product is in the market and you want to start reviewing things, so you need to identify what are the skill gaps you have, right? And I've attached a list of whole of different skills here that you can always look at later on, from communication to analytical to leadership skills to business skills, research skills, and technical skills. You can always come back to that. So by the time you identify what skills you still need, then you want to set learning goals. Okay, I need to learn so I need to take so. Then of course next thing will be to take a course or training on that. um I recommend entry level because it helps you learn the basics. Yeah, maybe you're not a pro yet, so but then, and it also helps you build a portfolio along the side along the line. So then experiences, you want to get real-time experience. So the way you can get experience depends on where you're coming from. If you're already working in a tech company and there are product managers, you want to transition into product management, then it might be good to shadow product managers, help them out with their tasks, reach out to them and let them know you are trying to work on product management and you like to help them. It's free of charge. So, but it gives you two things. Number one is going to um, build the experience, real time experience now, not just case studies. And aside that, if you have done it so well and have impressed them so much, you never can tell. The next time they need somebody else on the product management team, they might just employ you when you package your CV. It makes it easier for you to actually get that job than when you are completely out of it and then you're just applying to come in. So the same thing can also happen on the outside, even if you're not inside of the company already. But one of the easiest way to go, especially very big companies, is apply into smaller roles, and that's a hack. Apply into smaller roles that is if you do not have a lot of product experience, right? Apply into smaller roles that are product adjacent that you know you can easily get with your level of experience. And when you get there, it is always easier to get in from inside than when you're trying to get in from outside based on experience. So you may want to try that. Then of course find side projects to work on. Side projects can be very relative. I'm going to show you a couple of templates here where that you can explore. So but side projects is very relative. It could be as simple as creating an Excel sheet that simplifies business processes for a particular organization. All you need to do is be able to talk about what the pain point was and how the solution is going to help it and what the results were after you did that Excel model that you designed. It could also be using no code tools to build certain things, you understand, that can be used by people, and then before you know it, people enjoy it, you solve their problem, and then you can talk, you can tell your story, you can talk about what the problem was, what how you came about the solution, how you implemented the solution, what the experience was, what the results were. So you also want to network and get feedback. So then if you are networking and get feedback is something you continue to do whether you are learning or you are already out searching for opportunities. So to get opportunities, you want to find target companies, right? Research. There are lots of product management roles out there. Check out LinkedIn. You will see lots and lots. Check out product management, and maybe at the end of this call I'll weekly do a demo search on LinkedIn so you could see. So but then try to use the filters to narrow it down to you. Maybe you want to narrow it down to product management roles that are in Nigeria or in Africa or globally, but allows people in your time zone or remote, whatever. Just tailor it down and then pick a few companies. And of course, you should know where, if you do not have any experience at all, I feel you should start with associate product management roles. So there are a lot of associate product management programs with big companies, but it's hard to get in without it's not impossible to get in. By the way, it is hard because there are lots of people across the world that's trying to get into the same opportunity that has limited space. So of course it is hard, but then when you play a game right, you could be able, to get it. But then don't close your eyes on other things and focus on these big companies. There are tons of companies world over, including Nigeria here, that are doing great things and would even afford you some worth of experience that you can now use to get into bigger companies along the line. So do your research about these companies. What are they building? It always makes sense for you to choose companies that are in your area of strength. For example, if you're coming from an accounting background, for example, and you're so much in love with accounting and stuff, and you know a lot about it, you have some very strong industry knowledge about that space. It makes sense for you to start to search for companies. Again, don't restrict yourself, right? But it makes sense for you to search for companies along that route and try to get into them, because your knowledge, your industry experience is going to be very valuable. It means that if myself and you are applying for the same role, and I've been in engineering my whole life, even though yes, because of business development and some advisory, I can do some numbers, but then you are the core financial accounting guy and know all of the models in this world, you would have an edge over people who do not have that industry knowledge. So that's what I'm recommending. So do your research to understand what the company is, what the product is, their users. So because one of the very fast way to get in a company unsolicited as a product manager is to find a loophole. Of course, when you say a loophole, you have to be sure, because this is what they work on all day, right? 247, right? So you will not just come from anywhere without doing your proper research and say, I feel that we should build the next whatever. If you have not done the right research, it's just going to be like rubbishing yourself in front of, because it's like, no, this is obviously trash, because this is not something to work on at the moment. But if you do your proper research and find a problem that's so genuine, then it will make sense for you to propose. You can send out cold emails to product managers. This is one of the best ways. A lot of people try to reach out to product managers on LinkedIn and they're not responding, obviously, because they have lots of things, right, to take care of. But if you're helping them, it's a different thing. So if you do proper research into that company, find a loophole, and don't just say, oh, your product does not have so. Try to you know try to look for a way to define the impact of that problem. It means that if you can tell me that this particular problem is probably affecting 55% of our users, for example, or 70% of our users, then please, when you are doing statistics, it's easy to do statistics, but then please, when you're doing statistics, make sure you're able to back it with evidence or how you came about that number. So, but you're able to tell me that, say, this product you're working on, I discovered so and so, and I realized when I looked into it that, of course, you want to show me how you realized that. Maybe you want to show me a survey you did, or you want to show me, customer research or interviews with customers or whatever gives you, that number. and tell me that it affects certain number of users, and there's a way I can solve it. You also design a way to solve it and tell me what that would cost in terms of resources. You also tell me, hello, I'm going to open your. I don't want to care how busy I am. I'm going to open that mail. That's a sure bet. Like you just have to. I mean, what are you doing as a product manager? I know we have experienced product people on this call. When somebody is giving you, I mean, this is like saying that, okay, you're about to go out of business. This is a lifeline to save you. I'm going to listen to that guy. I'm going to check. Of course, I want to check the veracity of the claims to make sure that it's not just some quick, nice, make it look nice kind of thing. And if it is solid and valid, we start working. So of course, it doesn't always mean that it's going to translate into an employment for you every time, right? Because don't forget that getting you employed goes beyond just seeing how nice, how solid you are. It also goes back to the budget of the company, their recruitment procedures and all of that. So it may not be possible for them to take it, but it is not lost yet. Work with that guy to solve that problem, and whether it turns into a role for you or not. And then before you know it, that guy will be happy to recommend you anytime, any day. Now it's different from when you just come and meet me on LinkedIn. I mean, sorry that I said me. I mean, any product leader on LinkedIn and say that, hey, so, hello. I saw your profile. I'm nice. I'm a upcoming product manager, and I want you to recommend me for. I don't know you, because remember that when they recommend you, they're also putting their names on the table, right? If anything happens to that role, which is something anybody would not want, whether it's product managers or not, right? So if anything happens, and I mean you're not able to measure up to the expectations or whatever, it's coming back to them. So they just don't want to give that recommendation anyhow. But if you have worked together before, whether it's a free project or a paid project, then you're sure to get this. And so I said network and offer to help. So it could be people that are just content creators. There are lots of product managers, product leaders who are content creators on LinkedIn and YouTube and all of that. You may offer to help them out with some of the things that they do, and that way they get to understand what it is like to work with you. And trust me, when they see any opportunity, they're going to recommend to you first, because they're sure that you can actually contribute, you can deliver. So, and please apply and apply again. I think somebody said before we started this lecture that he applied to several opportunities. I'm not sure, is that Sadiq or some? I'm not sure who that is. Um, that he applied to several opportunities, that when he got the interviews, he did not even know that this is this company or that company, because that's the reality of things. I mean, we're not even in a time where the rules are so limited. Talk about Andela, for example. Now, Andela is currently not taking. Andela takes technologists from 3+ years of experience, and above, and matches them with companies, across the world, to get an employment. And that's how it works. But currently Andela is not taking product managers, because there are not a lot of product roles out there. So it means that you don't want to take chances, right? Because so many people are applying for so little number of roles. So please apply and apply and apply. Sometimes rejection might not necessarily be because you are not good enough for the job, or because uh some other people are, it could just simply be a fit issue. Maybe this other candidate has a better fit than you. Maybe it could be that, okay, look at what I mentioned about industry experience. Oh, this guy has 10 years of accounting experience, and okay, you have not done accounting before. I mean, I have not done accounting before now. So I mean, they are naturally going to pick that guy, not necessarily because I'm bad or I'm not the right guy. So I mean, you have to move on. So there are lots of, I mean, rejections, breakfast or more. I mean, it's part of the game. I don't know why I did not include this as a bullet point here, because it's really part of, I mean, it's not the focus of this call. If there's a time when if I talk about rejection stories, or you just pity me and just pat me on the back, pat me on the head, like, sorry, oh." You don't suffer for this life. But why am I saying this? I'm not trying to say this to show you that, oh yeah, I've done a lot of stuff, but to tell you that you're not alone, right? If you're trying to apply for that role and have not gotten it, and see, you're not alone. It happens. So please don't let that beat you down, so that you have now relented and you now, you lost hope and feel like, oh, I beg, man, just day my lane. I cannot feel myself. It may take time. It took time for a lot of us as well. And if it takes time, it's not a problem. One more thing is now when you're getting these rejections, what you should do is learn from them and move. So when you learn from them and move, it makes your profile better and stronger. This is something that I've done personally that helps me. I read a lot of, in fact, it has become, I don't know if it's an addiction currently, because even now that I'm not necessarily looking for any roles, I still look at job descriptions. And what does that do for me? It helps me stay updated. Oh, they're asking for something now. I don't have this thing. Oh, oh, I don't know about this one again. Which one is this one again? Because the field is ever evolving. And so many, I mean, you have so many product management specializations now. They're going to tell you about pricing product managers, AI product managers, launch product managers, growth product managers, different kind of, and each of this you start seeing different sets of requirements. And so, I mean, I just check them, right? I check and check and check and check and check. I read this one again, read that one again. So, and what do I gain from that? I'm able to see what I measure. Oh, I know this one. Oh, I can do that one. Oh, I don't know this one. Oh, more there's fire on the mountain. Oh. How do I add it up? Like, how do I start learning? I mean, when I started learning about product analytics, it was because of that. I mean, there was a time when I don't know. I worked as a product manager, but I don't really have strength in product analytics. Metrics and watching all that was not really my game. So, but then I mean, reading job descriptions after job description, I'm seeing that almost these analytics now, I have to learn it. I took courses, learned tools, and you need to continue doing that and continue to improve regardless of what happens, regardless of whether you're rejected or they did not even get back to you in the first mail, or you have gotten to final. I've gotten to the final stage of so many opportunities. Like it was negotiation. I'm not talking about I've sent email a CV negotiation stage and things just went blank and our life has to move on, right? So please, I mean, we got a day, so don't get discouraged and please continue to apply and apply. Use recommendations because recommendations work better than when you're applying. So just think of um think of um you now, let's say you are the person as a lead product manager trying to have a new product manager join you, and you have some people on your team that you trust who have worked with so person. You naturally want to look at that person's profile. Now nobody really has time, and that's the reality of things. We were doing some recruitment recently in my one of my organizations, and somebody mentioned somebody, I mean one of the candidates, that oh, this sort of person applied, and if they did not mention that person, I probably will not look at that. And that's not because I hate the person or I'm not considerate enough or something. Trust me, I've been there. So, but then, I mean, I just need the perfect guy for this. So if I get, and I have to do a lot of other things. So if I can get 2, 3 guys who make sense, and I can give them assessments to do and interview them to find the best fit, well, some people say that while we're doing that, I've said that too, that when you do that, you leave very good, talented people, and you miss out on talented people. Yeah, yes, I will miss out on talented people, but at the same time, I also get some talented people, and my job is done. So always remember that this is strictly business, right? So if you understand this, you will not take it to heart too much when you get rejected. But I understand that yes, it can be depressing. I mean, I completely understand that. So it's why you should do product communities. That brings me to the third part of staying connected. You want to use product communities like this, to stay on top. You continue to get more opportunities that you can apply for. Apply and apply, apply. Well, some of the people that got laid off recently from all of these big tech companies said that he said he go for himself to get another job. And wait, now you are giving yourself an excuse that it's because I'm not so experienced, it's because I'm in Nigeria, it's because blah 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 blah. This is somebody that has worked in big tech. I mean, that is no beans. And this guy said he applied for 500 roles within those 2 months that he said he would get another job. And then maybe he got, only 9 or 10 that replied or interviews. And then maybe, oh, no, I think 9 or 10 replied. And then maybe 2 interviews. And one was a final rejection. And one never got back or something like that. So, he ended up not getting anything. I can't remember the exact details, but that's how it went. So use pro communities like this. You contribute on the communities, and people would see you. Now, naturally, if I see somebody is always writing new articles about what he learned, I mean, offering insights on this and that, showing what he has built, as I'm there on MIP, I may not have a product management role to give out to anybody currently. Same thing for other people. But then I continue to see this one guy is always posting this, adding that, sharing this, sharing that, and things that make sense, not just not just random BCs. I mean, I naturally would develop interest. And the next minute I see something, I'll just inbox the guy. Guy, how far now? Are you available for so? And that's it. So please use communities very well. There are lots of product communities, product boards. There is people in products is Nigeria. Product boards is a global thing. There is I'm not sure I can remember. Tons of them. Just search out LinkedIn. I'm sure you have product mastermind. A lot of them. Please search for them and join. Thought leadership is you trying to offer insights on what you have learned. So as you're learning, write articles, post them, but please make sure it makes sense. At the same time, not everybody you do not get it at the first try. So also do not be afraid to make mistakes and push something out and continue to improve and continue to improve. It helps people see you in a good light at the end of the day. If you can give talks on things where areas where you're solid enough, please do. If you can write articles, blog articles, guest posts on different other people's websites, please do. Your personal LinkedIn page and Twitter, please do. And the podcast, anything like that, please try to do something like that. Consume a lot of product content. And how can you do that? Follow product managers. There's several of them on LinkedIn, and you will be tired of the level of content. In fact, you'll be tired. You'll not even be able to consume them. Like I have lots and lots and lots of them, and I learn from them every day without having to sit in any classes because every day they try to share new things, try to share their experiences, and you can learn from all of this. We have people like Atir Abdul Rauf, who is the product marketing manager. He's the one that shared that thing I showed you earlier. You have people like Granados, was the guy's name, Diego Granados. We have people like Powell Hurine, a lot of them like that on LinkedIn that you could check out and follow. They share tons of content, tons and tons and tons of content that you can learn from. And then events. Events is a place where you are able to
Seems his network went off. Hello, Mr. Jafar. I don't know if you can hear me, but we can't hear you.
meet people, share updates in industries later. I'm not sure how many minutes I have left. So, but portfolio is one of the best ways to do that. So, I'm going to show you sample portfolio examples of sample portfolios that you can check out. I'll probably share resources later on where you could see, you know, things like that. So, but portfolios are a great way to showcase your experience. So for people who are more experienced product managers, and even if you are less experienced, and all you have are just side projects, and case studies and volunteer activities. So these are ways you can gain relevant experience, and you want to now share them. On your CV, you can only say that you can only do I built X by doing Y as measured by Z, right? You have to make it summarized. But on a portfolio, you can go into details of what the product is, share videos like the example you can see on my screen. It's going to give you an edge over somebody else who's applying without a portfolio. So have a different, maybe if there's a separate talk about this. I gave a talk recently for the Andela product community on building portfolios. It was a whole 1 hour talk, and I have slides on that I can share later on, right? That it's going to go through the nitty gritty of building product. Let me see if I can share that quickly. Okay, time is almost up. Um, so I mean, here are some some portfolio examples. This is the slide for that Andela course, and these are what makes a great portfolio. This is the only slide I will show now because of time. So I mean, this goals and of adoption. This is how we have reduced the processing time of something. Maybe it takes so number of days to do this before after the products. It now takes so number of minutes. You can now put that into percentage that will reduce the time it takes by maybe 95%. Look at products where you can do these numbers. Then you want to strengthen it with valuable additions like sample projects they have done. Articles they have written, podcasts you have done, and things like that. They want to design it and distribute your portfolio. Now, this is just to touch on this aspect. Again, we can always share this later on to see. So let's come back here and yeah, of course, want to network and attend conferences. I've mentioned this, and I want to prepare for interviews. So to prepare for interviews, you need to understand that different depending on what company you're applying to. You need to know what do they ask in product design questions. Like, to give you a quick example, because of time, they could ask you, and by the way, there are lots of mock interview preparation um, groups that you can find in maybe MIP will have something like that too. Mock interview sessions where you can practice interviewing together, especially if you are getting a role in big tech, right? So if you're getting a role in big tech, you're probably going to face some of these things I'm talking about. But if it is some other companies, maybe not exactly, but some way or the other, they're still going to test you. So one of the popular things that people mention is how will you design a fridge for kids, right? So that's a product design question. And you're not necessarily being asked to start saying that, yes, we'll build the, I would find an aluminium somebody, I will find the whatever engineer. No, that's not it. It's actually about you breaking down the process, and that's what they're interested in. They're not necessarily interested in how you build that fridge. They're interested in what is your process towards building the fridge. What considerations are you going to make? You want to start, for example, about talking about asking clarifying questions. For example, who are we building this for? What is the company budget? Do you have concern about resources? What is the vision of the company? Understanding that all of that, which is by the way something you should have researched. Then you want to ask about maybe things about what the customers, right? What kind of customers are we targeting for this? Okay, it is young people within the age of this and this. Are we targeting a particular location? These are things that helps you to, breaking it down into all of these routes is actually going to. So this is what your interviewer wants to see. Like, so if you are given or you come across a similar problem in your career as a product manager, how will you approach this? Are you going to just start and say, oh yeah, let's design something, put this one there, put that one there? Are you going to consider all of these things before going there? Some of the things you also want to consider are your customers, like I mentioned, and the company itself. You want to consider other companies as well. What are they building, right? And how is this going to impact what you want to put out to the market? You want to consider environment, because there are certain things that can affect your product, right? And beyond what's happening within your company. It could be a regulation of the government. It could be a certain perception that people have towards your product. It could be different things that are outside of your control but can affect your product. You want to consider that as well. You also want to consider your suppliers. Where are you going to get certain things from? So maybe it's something that we have to get. Okay, for example, in the case of a fridge, we have to get so from so you need to consider those ones as well. So the goal of asking you that question is not for you to start talking about how nice and how, yes, there is a part and a good mark for trying to be very creative and putting out very innovative ideas. So, but then trust me, you want to go through your process and make them able to follow you and understand you, and that way you are a better person than somebody who has presented the nicest idea in the world, but cannot run us through the process by which you came to that idea. You also want to talk about your metrics, like, I mean, how are you going to measure the success of this product? Is also something very important, because it's not just enough for you to build. Like I told you, when you're as a product manager, you want to go ahead to maintain that product, right? So as you're maintaining the product, how do you maintain what you do not have knowledge about? You need to be able to identify metrics that you want to target, that you want to monitor. So what is going to be your North Star metric? Your North Star metric is the metric that is the major metric. I mean, that's a good layman way to present it. That other metrics are now surrounding it. I mean, it means that if your North Star metric fails you, it means that that product can be considered failed. So you want to identify what your metrics are and things like that. So all in all, please reach out and read. You can visit places like Exponent. They have lots of product manager interview questions. They also have, can afford to pay for some of these things. Well, I do not recommend that you pay, but then for people who can afford it, it's also a good thing. They're going to have mock product interview sessions for you and things like that, and take you through the process of answering some of these questions. And YouTube is your great friend. You can have so many people like Diego Granados and the people at Rocket Blog at Exponent. They have done lots of mock interviews that you can see on YouTube, where you can see all of these things I'm mentioning about behavioral questions, about product execution, about product estimation, about all of these things. You can see lots of them, and lots of them on YouTube. So yeah, that will be it. Thank you very much for having me. Wassalamu alaikum wa rahmatullah.
Wa alaikum assalam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. That was indeed an insightful presentation. Even though time is fast spent, but jazakumullah khairan to you. We say a very big jazakumullah khairan for that insightful presentation. Next on the list, I will just be taking two questions max. Does anybody have questions for us, please? I'll count to five, and if nobody raises up their hands, I admit that is it. We all understand what has been learned today. So one, two, three, four. Any questions? Five. All right. Brother Abdul Rahman Amin. Assalamu alaikum. Please, let's have you, please.
Wa alaikum salam wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Can you hear me?
Yes, perfectly.
Okay, so the my question is basically on how do you select a area of specialization in product management? Like, because you mentioned some points on there are people that have foundation in accounting, foundation in tech, foundation in various aspects. So how do is it you have to like work with what you know before, or do you try to, okay, as you dive into the field of product management, do you select that, okay, this is what I want to do? Thank you.
All right. Thank you very much. Mr. Jafar, let's have you, please.
Okay, so well, there is no one cap fits all for this. There is no perfect formula to specialize in. So the way people get to specialize at some point, it could just be the demands of your current role. Maybe because in your previous role you have worked on things related to launching, and one way or the other you found yourself becoming a launch product manager. It could be that, oh, because you have some AI experience, or you've done a master's in computer science or AI related courses, of taking AI, maybe this um, IBM Watson course or things like that. And you have some AI experience, and then you're using AI in your products and trying to build an AI product. Before you know it, you're an AI product manager. And when they're looking for an AI product manager, you can apply and tell them how you now have it. All in all, is about transferable skills that you have gained in previous roles that makes you now like uh, uh sort of a sector expert So now, if you're coming from outside of product management and you want to get into product management, so you want to highlight transferable skills that you've had in your role. Transferable skills are skills that you've exhibited in your previous role that also has something to do in product management. It means that yes, I cannot see that you have product management experience. I can see that you have worked with engineers before, or you are an engineer, you have built a product before. That shows me that yeah, I think you'll be able to flow with technical things, right? Or yeah, you've managed operations before, manage people and resources. It shows me that cool, you'll be able to manage, people and resources on a product manager. So these are transferable skills. So just the same way it is for transferable skills when you're transitioning into product management as a whole, is the same thing when you want to now specialize. So your specialization could be from a point of interest. Oh, I just love AI and I want to be an AI product manager. It means that you want to start taking AI related products, start working on it, right? Start reading about AI, start researching about AI products, so that you have the strength in that sector that now gives you that privilege or that edge over others to now say yes, I'm an AI product manager. Or it could be that along the line it's not from a point of interest, from a point of responsibility. Due to what you have been doing in your organization, you are now sort of the AI go to AI person in that place, or go to pricing person in that place. Now there are pricing product managers for very big companies where you need to start do a lot of work in terms of pricing. You have to do a lot of analysis before you come about, okay, this is what we should price. You want to do A/B experiments. You want to continue to vary certain things to come about. So when if you have worked on the business side of things a lot, that might prep you to becoming a pricing product manager. So there is not exactly specific routes into specialization in product management, but these different things can lead you into it. I hope I answered your question.
Yes, I trust you did well. Thank you. For any more questions, you can actually drop it on the platform. And if you're not yet with us, you can actually contact me to join in or be added into the group chat or platform. Thank you very much. So I say big jazakumullah khairan to our facilitator. That was indeed an insightful one. Barakallahu fi. And to everyone who actually um came in, turned up into this webinar session. Say big jazakumullah khairan to you all. And you can please do follow us on our social media platforms. That is follow us on LinkedIn or and Instagram as Muslims in Products. Then on Twitter you can follow us or find us at Muslims X Products. Say big jazakumullah khairan to us all. Please do have a pleasant week ahead.
I'm sorry
Assalamu
if
alaikum.
I might quickly say something. It's always good to give
Okay.
feedbacks like what we talked about. So please go out there on your Twitter or LinkedIn to share what you learned.
Yeah, and tag us, please. Tag the speaker, tag Muslims in Products. Yeah. Thank you very much. Jazakumullah khairan. All right.
And if you're learning
Wassalam.
something